Good morning, guys. So on today's episode, we will be building a red cedar raised garden bed box, which will be placed right behind me here along this wall of the shed. So that's today's video. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. All right, so on today's video, I'm going to be building a raised garden box, which is basically going to go the length of this wall. I still have not gotten a gutter because Home Depot is always out. They have the brown vinyl gutters, which nobody wants, obviously. The white ones are gone like almost as soon as they come in. So I'm still keeping an eye on that, trying to get the white gutter, vinyl gutter, so that I can put that on here. Because you can see from all the dripping going up on the wall. So hopefully this box will stop some of that, but it might just, make more dirt splash up there. So it's been a really weird day. It's been sunny, rainy, sunny, rainy, sunny, rainy. It is Friday today, and we have Hurricane Douglas on the way. Supposed to hit us sometime tomorrow afternoon to evening. So yeah, now the rain is starting again. Anyway, here is my cedar planks, and these are 1x6 cedar planks, tongue and groove, and these are actually roofing planks. So if you have a cedar roof, in your house or front porch, whatever it is, this is, I guess, maybe a little bit more expensive option than using like a knotty pine or something like that. But for today, I'm going to be using this to build my raised garden bed. So the good thing about cedar is it does not rot. So it can sit out here in the rain, and you don't have to really do anything to it. You don't have to put any kind of sealant on it, nothing like that. And it will last, 20 years, maybe more. Exposed to all the elements, I might get 20 years out of it. But if this was in your, like front porch, let's say roofing, you could probably get double that because it's not actually exposed to sun and rain. But that is what I will be using. These are 1x6 by 16 feet long. And I got these from a local lumber store called Cedar. And if you're familiar with the Hilo area, they are on Railroad Avenue, which runs right behind where the Target and Home Depot is. So the size of this box is going to be almost the full length. I'm going to basically come in about 6 inches on either end of this. So the shed itself is 14 feet, give or take, an inch or two because of the trim and paneling. I'll have to remeasure it. But I'm basically going to come in 6 inches. So the bed itself will end up being about 13 feet long. And then we will be doing, I want to say 18 inches. Maybe as big as 24 inches. I got to kind of measure it out and see what I want to do. But that's going to be the rough size. And then it will end up being 3 panels tall. So it will end up being about 16 inches or so tall, 15 to 16 inches. And then 13 by 1.5 to 2 feet. All right, so the shed is 14 feet, 2.5 inches roughly. So I think 13 foot is good for that. And then, I just got water dumped all over my head. So let me do this. So I think the depth of the bed, I want to space this off about 1 foot or so away from the wall so that I'm able to get my weed whacker behind there to cut down, grass or anything eventually that's growing. So I think I'm going to end up making the bed about 22 inches, so just under 2 feet. And then I'm going to put it about 14 inches away from the wall. So that way it'll be out here right at 36 inches from the wall will be the outside edge. So that'll be the size of my bed. Just got water dumped all over my head because the rain coming down off of here. So yeah, it's raining. All right, so basically I'm just going to be building this box up on top of my sawhorses here, and then I will carry the box over and put it in place once it's ready and put together. That way I'm, out of the rain, I'm under the carport, and I can get everything done, and then I can put it in place after. First thing that I'm going to be doing is to cut all of these planks down to my dimensional sizes, which is going to be 13 feet, and then the depth, I guess, of the box will be 22 inches. So it'll be the thickness of 2 boards, and then that's going to be my measurement. So I have 8 planks here, and basically what that is going to do is 6 of them is going to build my main box. So the 13-foot piece, there will be a cutoff. From that cutoff, I will make the side piece. So each piece will make basically an L of the box, and then an L on the other side. So 6 pieces will build my entire box. The remaining 2 pieces I'm going to use to make a top cap border, and then also for support pieces. I don't know, maybe every 2 of them on the front and back, which is basically going to be a vertical piece on the outside, just to keep everything kind of together and a little bit more stable. All right, I have all my pieces cut to the correct dimensions. I have 3 of the pieces here put together. They are not completely put together, but I just kind of loosely put the tongue and groove together. So this is going to be the height of my box, basically. And this is the long side, obviously. And then here I have the short side, which will be basically there, and then there will be another long side. So these boards are finished on one side, and then on the inside they are still rough. As you can see there, it's not smooth at all. And then the outside here also has little chamfers on it, so you can see when they go together. Hopefully that's showing up. Just gives it a little bit more nice look to it. And then with my additional cutoffs, so this was basically the length of one board is 13 feet. Then I had my side piece cut, and then the remainder, which is what the leftover is, this is what I'm going to use for my reinforcement pieces that I was talking about. So basically these are going to get nailed in place, and they are, slightly long, which is good. So I have a little bit of room to play with, and those will get nailed in place. I'll have to evenly space them out, but there will be, I think, probably 3 of them across the front, 3 across the back. And then of course I'm going to have to run them through the table saw, because I'm going to cut the tongue off and I'm going to cut the groove off, so it'll be just the solid board. As well as the top piece, I'm going to run through the table saw to cut the tongue off. And then this will get a cap on top of it, which is what the 2 extra boards are going to be for. So I'm going to rip those the long way, and then it will basically frame out the top of my box. All right, so I have my main front and rear sections assembled. They're just, put together. Nothing is nailed or anything like that yet. I have my reinforcement pieces, which are not totally cut to size yet, but both the tongue and groove have been cut off. So these will be the pieces that will be going on like this. I have 6 of those right now. I'm going to cut 6 more. So the way that it's going to work is basically there will be one on the inside and one on the outside. And then when I nail everything together, it'll go through, all 3 pieces. And then I have my 2 end pieces assembled. Also, the tongue is cut off of the top. And then on these pieces, the tongue is also cut off the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut 6 more pieces of this, and also cut these to size out of those. And then those 2 pieces, what's left of the one after I cut off the reinforcement pieces, then these 2 pieces are going to basically get the tongue and grooves cut off, and then they're going to get ripped down the middle to create, I'm guessing somewhere around 2 to 2.5 inch wide pieces, and that's going to be my framing for the top. All right, with all 3 pieces put together, it comes out to just about, I'm gonna go ahead and just say 14.5. I know 14 3/4 is right to the lip, but there's a little bit of a bevel on the bottom from the tongue and groove. So I'm gonna say 14.5, and then it'll end up being flush on the top, and there will be just a little bit on the bottom, which that way it's not on this. So I'm gonna cut those 6 pieces down and cut 6 more pieces. All right, so basically what I'm doing here is I am adding stop over there, and then here it's right at 14.5. That way I can just get all my pieces cut real quick, and they'll all be the same length. All right, so these reinforcements are cut down to size. I have 6 more cut, and then I also cut an additional 4. So those 4 will end up getting ripped down the middle, and then those will become the supports for the end pieces. So there will basically be one on the front and back of each of these sides for the end pieces. All right, now I need to cut the tongue and grooves off of those pieces, as well as my 2 last big pieces that will end up being the frame top cap. And then I will also rip those down. I'll go ahead and I'm going to do that off camera because you guys already saw me do that. So, okay, I have, excuse me, I have all of my pieces cut now. These are all the reinforcement pieces for the long sides, or front and back basically. These are my reinforcement pieces for the ends. And then these are going to be my top caps that are going to be kind of the picture frame on the whole thing. So now it's basically going to be just putting everything together. If you guys are really bored, go back through this video and count how many times it's raining and how many times it's sunny. This is all filmed at the same time, same day. All right, so I am going to start assembling the end pieces, and basically the 14.5 inch pieces that I cut down to 2 inches wide. There's going to be one piece on the outside, one piece on the inside, and that's going to be on both ends. And then that is going to basically tie all these pieces together, and then that will give me something also when I nail the corners together to nail into. So I'm using 2 inch nails, and I'm going to have to kind of just nail at an angle because this is almost exactly 2 inches once all 3 boards are together. Oh, and it's raining again. All right, so that's my 2 end pieces that are done. And basically this is going to be where the long pieces are going to get nailed to. So they'll basically line up with this edge here. So there will be a little bit of an indent on each end. You know, you'll see this trim piece. And then for these pieces here, I'm basically going to put one in the middle and then one in the middle of that space on either side. And that's how they're going to be spaced across. All right, so that piece was a bit tricky just because of the size of it. And then also I had a malfunction on the nail gun there in the middle. So that one's together. I'm going to do the second one now, and then we will start to assemble the whole box. And it's sunny again. I now have all of my side pieces assembled with all of the reinforcement pieces. So now I'm going to put the box together, and basically I'm going to just build it on top of the sawhorse here. And it's raining again. All right, I took 2 pieces of plywood and I put them on the sawhorse underneath. Basically what's going to happen here is I'm going to stand up one of the long sides and use the clamp, stand up the other side, put the side piece in, and then clamp it all together. Then I'm going to do it to the other side. Then I'll kind of adjust everything so that it's square and lined up, and then I'll nail it together. And hopefully these pieces of plywood will keep everything flat and level together, and then I'll use my square as well to make sure everything is good. Hopefully this works. Okay, the main box is together now, so what I have left is to cut these trim pieces, and basically I'm going to just do a 45 at the end, and then the trim piece is basically going to be as wide as, you know, these or these other supports. So the trim piece will cover that. It's going to basically overlap about a 1/2 inch or just over a 1/2 inch on each side, and that'll be that. And then I'm also going to put a couple reinforcement pieces in here. So I'm not sure if it's showing up on here, but like this is, you know, kind of bowing a little bit. Once it's on the ground, of course, it's not really going to move as much, but I do want to put a couple cross pieces, and basically I'm going to nail them from the inside reinforcement piece to the other side. So I'll probably put a strip along the bottom of each of those, just to make sure that this stays the same distance the whole length of the bed. All right, now I have the top trim piece on, and this is pretty simple. All it is just a 45 cut on the corner and then nailed in. This overlaps a little bit on either side because it matches up with the board that's there. This one though on the end is flush because the board is here, and then also on the inside. So yeah, turned out pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some cross pieces in here, just down towards the bottom, and just to make sure that this doesn't bow out at all. All right, so I have my 2 cross pieces cut, and basically what I'm going to do is they're going to go inside on either side of this central beam, and I'm going to put a clamp on here to pull this together. So see how far it's bowed apart right now? So I'm going to put these down here. I'm going to put a clamp on the outside to hold this together, and then they're going to get nailed in down there. Clamp is on. Those 2 pieces are in there. So now I'm going to just pop a couple nails on each side, both ends, and it will be done. All right, it's pretty much in place. What I'm going to do now is basically kind of get my marks on the ground so that I can dig that up. And then over here there's a big glob of cement that I need to dig out. That's kind of holding that whole thing up. Let me turn this around. Yeah, so see that big chunk of cement from when I did the slab? That side down there is fairly level. This side is obviously sticking up. It's off the ground here, but that's because of that cement blob. So I'm going to kind of dig that out. This is roughly about 14 inches away from the shed because I want to be able to run my weed whacker through here for anything that pops up, weeds and whatnot, grass and all that. And then we are going to be planting our pigeon pea in here, and the pigeon pea actually becomes quite a large bush. So it's going to go probably all the way over to the wall here, and it'll stick out a foot or so on this side, and then it will actually grow taller than the roof line if you let it. But that is going to be what is going to be in this bed. So we have 5 or 6 pigeon pea plants, I think, that we've been growing, which is this one here, and that one there. And then I have some more over on the other side that are in tubes. They're not quite as big as these, but once they're all planted in good soil with some fertilizer, they're gonna take off. All right, that is pretty much in place. And it's fairly level. It's not super critical that it's like perfectly level, but I just wanted it to be kind of close. Just so, like looking at it, it didn't, it didn't look too crooked. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start filling it, and I'm gonna use that cinder soil, which is what we used when we did the transplanting of the coffee. So the cinder soil is gonna be about the bottom, I don't know, 8 to 10 inches of this. And then I got a couple bags of raised bed potting soil and some chicken manure, and then that's going to cover the top. All right. So this thing is pretty much filled up. This is the cinder soil mix. I'd probably put maybe 10 inches in there or so, I want to say. It's right about where the second board is, roughly. So the next part, I'm going to be spreading some chicken manure in here. Just a little bit, not too much. Just a light dusting, and then I'm going to put the potting soil over top of that, and then I'll put a little bit of chicken manure on top of that, and then it'll be ready to plant the pigeon peas. Was it sunny or rainy the last time? Because now it's both. The two products that I'm going to be using in the bed. This is Stutzman composted chicken manure, and this is really good stuff. And it smells great too. And then this is the potting mix that I'm using. It's basically just for filling raised beds, amending and filling. And that'll be basically my topsoil, and then I'm gonna have some chicken manure mixed in with it. All right, for the chicken manure, I'm not gonna be using a lot. This is, I think, a 5-inch or 6-inch pot. So that's basically what I'm gonna put in there. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it in. And then that's going to be it for that one. Now I'm going to put the potting mix over top of that, and then I will do another one of these pots of chicken manure on top of that. All right, so here's my pigeon pea. These 4 are in the tube still, and you can see they haven't grown quite as much as the ones that were in the pots. So I assume once I get them transplanted into this bed, they will probably take off. So you saw that I added another sprinkling of the chicken manure on top. So now basically it's just going to be transplanting all these into the bed, and then we will be done. All right, guys, well, that is it. This project is done. So that was a pretty good project for today. I spent probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours on that. Looks really good. and you'll see in future videos coming up, those pigeon peas are just gonna take off. Oh, let me grab something. I realize some of you may not know what pigeon peas are, so I wanted to show this. So pigeon pea kind of is more like a bean than a pea. I mean, it is a pea, but it's kind of a mix between a bean and a pea. And this is probably, pigeon pea is probably about 3,500 years old. And it originally came from India, I believe it was. And this is the most planted and harvested pea in the entire world. So a lot of people in the US probably don't know about this, but if you go through the Caribbean, South America, Africa, India, like this is a very popular pea, and it's a good source of protein, fiber, has vitamins and minerals. I mean, it's like a pretty amazing thing, pretty amazing plant, pretty amazing pea and food. And these will grow, like I was saying. They look small now, but once these grow up, they will grow taller than this roof if I let them, and they will bush out probably a foot or two on each side. And then they will flower, and they actually have really nice flowers on them. I think they're kind of a orange and yellow mix, like a really pretty flower. But you guys will see, you know, in later videos once these things start taking off. And yeah, it's just a good thing to have because it's a good staple food. And if you want to have, you know, you can grow this in a lot of environments. I mean, it'll grow, you know, all kinds of places. I don't know how well it'll do in cold climates, you know, through the winter. But if you're anywhere in the south, or, you know, I guess central zones closer to the equator, southern US, I guess, then it would grow really well. So it'll actually do really well here, and it will continue to produce. So even after it grows full, all you do is you hedge it. So as it grows up tall, I'll just chop it down to like the height of the windows, and it'll just get fuller and it'll keep producing. And it's, like I said, just a really good bean. All right, guys. Well, thanks for sticking with me through the rain and the sun and the rain and the sun and the rain and the sun. Now it's a nice blue sky. There's still some clouds. You see the sun behind me there. But I hope this was helpful and maybe inspirational to some people to maybe build their own raised bed. And this raised bed, you know, you could plant all kinds of stuff in here. Eventually, once these pigeon peas get taller and fill out a little bit more, we're actually going to put some flowers down in the bed. But in the meantime, I will get some mulch, and I will mulch this whole bed just to keep any other weeds or anything growing, anything that I don't want to be growing in there. See the little rock pile? My wife's so proud of that. All right, guys. So thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Aloha.